I mean, we've talked about this in the context of sacred before, the infinite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the infinite is not a bigger finite. Those aren't
Yes.
the same things. Like the infinite is modally distinct from the finite. No
Yes.
amount of numbers are going to get you to the infinite.
Yes.
And yet it's also part of the real.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The real is in many ways sort of the relationship between the finite and the infinite.
Yes.
And not contained in either one either, right? That would be the third mode. And so there's something about that, right? There's something about recognizing that these are all aspects of the real, and there's a way of developing competence. Now we can make it very simple, like competence, skillfulness, artfulness
Yeah.
of relationality in that mode, right? There is a proper mode. There's a proper way of being in relationship with the transcendent, with the trans piece of that move.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with systems of justification, right? They are just not the same kind of thing. But it's not a null set, right? There's a thing there. And as we were just talking about, there are people, maturity, like this notion of maturity, the ability to know, like the wisdom. Oh, okay, it's a whole. It's a whole, man. It's there.
Yeah.
He is to grow. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's interesting. That's a totally different thing. That's oblique to the notion of like increasing sophistication within a closed domain. It's where does growth come from? Growth comes from the outside. Growth comes from the transcendent per se, that which is intrinsically in and of itself, the outside, right? The creative principle. We talk about the notion of creation and creative,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
growth comes
Yes.
from that, right? It comes from the
Yeah.
creative principle per se, coming into like transferring or being metabolized into something, and openness to that and artfulness in that. And then of course, what happens, as you say, is that the capacity to be in relationship with life grows with it.